able to hear us? Are you able to hear us? Are you able to hear us in Southside Dixon Circle? Are you able to hear us in Woolslager? Woolslager, is that a street over there?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's funny. It's a lot of people couldn't even say the name.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, I think you said it right. That's how I think it's said. I
Yeah.
just look at it and be like, okay.
And now you're gonna wonder why I know what's over
Yeah,
there.
look, you've been over there. Then I can tell you've been over there. Some people fake it, but I know you've been over there.
Well, hey,
it.
I'm from around the way, man. I know these kind of things. So.
Exactly. Your face
All
card's
right.
good.
Yeah. So I go to the commission. Is known all around. Like we often have said, this show is the best radio show from Como to the Congo. So I'd like to send a special shout out to the Dallas Institute of Humanities and Culture. Next week, February 19th, they have a documentary that I was blessed to see earlier, Malcolm X and Overwhelming Influence on the Black Power Movement. I'd like for you guys to go ahead and take a look at that. Just go ahead and Google Dallas Institute of Humanities and Culture. Mr. Thomas Mohammed is he made the movie. He made the movie. So go ahead and check it out. Like I said, I was blessed to see that movie last year. I did the screening for it. So I won't be able to see it with you guys next week because they have a forum, the Dallas Mayoral Forum, that's going on next week over there with the citizens of Jockey. They've rented out a spot. What's the the horse park?
Yeah, I know the park, the little race park. I know what you're talking about. I just can't.
Right. So that is, I believe that's in your district. Yeah?
I think it's on the edges. I think that was Caraway's, but there's part of it just depends on.
Depending upon how you look
Yeah.
outside your front door. Well, they're having a debate next week, and I will be there. But speaking of next week and debates and running for office, tell us why you want to serve on the Dallas City Council.
Well, I've known for years that this is what I eventually would do. I want to be able to give back to the community.
Mike's open.
I've been blessed. Of course, I'm a lawyer, and I think that we need highly educated folks on the city council, but we also need people who know the community. So I'm going to understand certain things about policy. I want to understand certain things about the community that people who have not grown up in that community and lived that community their whole life, I'm going to have a better understanding of that. Because even before I became a lawyer, I've worked at a number of places that led me to have the experience, life experience, to be able to problem solve. And more importantly, I just want to represent this district and give back to my community. I mean, this district has blessed me. A lot of people raised me along the way. Mr. L.A. Bedford was one of my mentors. My first law office was open on MLK Boulevard. And Mr. Bedford would tell me and Craig Watkins to come over and sit in his office, and he'd go up and down the tree with us about Dallas's history and what we needed to do. And I was a part of that. And then eventually I went on to represent Mr. Lee Bilal, who was the city of Dallas's one of the 3 first black African-American police officers. And he was an older gentleman. He had amassed a certain amount of land, and I was able to get mentored by him as well. So I've been blessed to just be around a number of people who share Dallas's rich history, South Dallas's rich history, District 7's rich history, and I just feel like I can help this community,
Now, you mentioned, let's roll that mic down just a little bit. That's great volume on that one. Thank you. You mentioned about Attorney Louis Bedford.
Yes.
That was the first person I remember as a lawyer, period. I met him, I was like 6 years old, man.
Yes.
And he came up to our elementary school because his daughter, Angela, was in our class.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, that's amazing. And I'll tell you the story about him is that he was so humble. All those years, my law office was next door to him. I knew he was important in Dallas's history, but when we gave him his retirement dinner at the Bilo Mansion, they listed off everything that he had done. And for Dallas not to know, and a lot of people in Dallas don't know this, he was part of that the team with Thurgood Marshall, and in the desegregation case at Topeka versus Kansas, and that actually desegregated schools. So he is a part of history. He was part of the legal team of one of 5 lawyers who was part of that team. And I did not know that I was getting that kind of mentoring each day, that he would call me over to his office, and about once a month he'd call us over there, man. We'd sit down and he'd ask us how business was going, what we were thinking about doing next, and how important this community was, and how proud that he saw both of us, black lawyers in that community, opening up businesses, being successful. And it was just a wonderful time. It's just a wonderful time.
Now, the times that we're in now, they're not so wonderful if you happen to be trying to get a pension from the Dallas Fire Department or the Dallas Police Department. Are we beyond that now, or what's going on with that?
Well, we need to make sure that those folks get their money. They worked hard for this city. You want people that have showed a commitment to this city, that have worked hard for this city, to get the money that is due to them. We should have not put them in a situation to where this money ended up being mismanaged. But that's part of what you do when you don't send the proper people for city council down there. You got to send people down there with integrity. You got to send people down there that care. And you got to send people down there that are going to be accountable to the community. I always tell people that when I go to the church, Lord Missionaries Baptist Church down there, Pastor Garrett, now Pastor Duncan, those folks are going to hold me accountable, because I remember sitting there in church as a kid, and they love South Dallas like I love South Dallas.
And where's this church at?
It's over on Bear Street.
Yeah.
It's at the end of Bear
You
Street.
really haven't left the hood, yeah.
And no, I haven't left the hood. Marlon Duncan is the pastor there now, and Pastor Duncan love him to death. He's Pastor Garrett's grandson, and they actually named the street after Pastor Garrett. And it's funny because even that relationship has a long history. Before he started his own church, my grandmother and grandfather came down from Tyler, David and Mary Johnson, and the pastor and his wife were some of their first friends, and they had a 60-year friendship, and now both of their husbands are gone. And my grandmother and his grandmother are the last 2 or 3 or 4 that are left around that age range, and his grandmother's 90, mine's 88, almost 89. And so that's the history I share with South Dallas, and because this community has raised me and brought me up, I feel like I'm the best person to lead District 7 into the future.
Now, District 7, that side where we're talking about Bear Street and everything, gentrification, what is your opinion of gentrification or revitalization as some people are tuning in right now?
Some of it can be good, but the first thing that we got to do is make sure that people who already own property there, who need the opportunity to be able to fix up their properties, we need to make sure that we take care of them first. And there's a program that Richardson uses that allows tax abatements for people who commit to fixing properties up that they own. That way we can get the property values up, and that way we can make the communities look nicer. And maybe we can attract some businesses like grocery stores and some of the other businesses that attract folks into the community, so we can create some jobs.
Creating the jobs in South Dallas and creating the jobs, and this district goes into Pleasant Grove as well.
Yes,
right?
all the way up Buckner Terrace, and that's another community that I'm involved in. The guy that owns Patient's Choice Medical Clinics, Dr. Aradan, he owns a giant clinic up there, and he's a friend of mine. Also, the guy who owns Popeye's Tire Shop is down on Buckner. He's
You're
a
just
great
doing
friend
commercials
of mine.
for them.
Hey,
man.
I love those guys. They take
Man.
care of me. They support me.
I see how you slide and put that in there. So located at such.
Yeah, but I have deep roots in that community up in Pleasant Grove. I went to John B. Hood. So John B. Hood's in Pleasant Grove. And so I spent a lot
Piedmont Global Academy.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got changed because we changed the name of it.
Yes, that's right. It's a global cat. I got
Yeah, you got to change
gotta
the
bring
name.
it up. But
Change the name.
But I spent a lot of time in Pleasant Grove and South Dallas coming up as a kid, and like I said, I have ties to that community that run deep, and some people don't have those ties.
Whoa. Okay. you got me there. You said some people. Now you going church on me now. You gonna mention names now?
I'm not gonna mention any names.
Yeah, well, that's you doing like they do at church.
Hey, they
That's
know
what
who
they
they
do
are.
at church.
They know who they are.
Yeah,
See, when I always tell people when they go home, they go home. They don't have to answer anybody. Home is District 7 for me. So South Dallas, Pleasant Grove, I got to answer to them because that's where I do business. That's where I still get my hair cut over there, and I still eat at Two Partners, and I still go to the places. And So those are the things that I do, and going home to me, they're gonna hold me accountable. When they see me walking down the street, I gotta take care of people. And that's why even as a lawyer, I take care of my clients, and I've done so for years because I know they're gonna see me again.
Okay, so you did the barbershop thing. So
Yes.
normally in barbershops, for those people who listen in, barbershops is the democracy of the black neighborhood. What are they talking about in the barbershops? Where you go to?
Just Trump and the direction of our nation, and how we have to take control of our own destiny. This whole thing with Trump has been an eye-opener because people decided to lose their morality and decided to support something because somebody promised them something. And this guy has promised them their country back, whatever that means. And they don't care how he does it. And they don't care about sacrificing their morals for it. And we can't do that as a people. We cannot allow ourselves to go that direction because that's not the way.
Now, translating that into this election, what is the way that Dallas needs to be better?
Dallas needs to be better by having good representation. And then what we need to do is to create opportunities, of course, for the homeowners and property owners that are already there. We need to get into these mentoring programs. There are a lot of mentoring programs at the courthouse that I have access to. And I want to take some of these young people, young men and young women, and try to mentor them so that we can show them a better life, a better way. We're not doing enough of that. We have to get in our communities and do the work. And that's why I refer to Mr. Bedford and Mr. Belisle and Mr. Reese. They showed me how important it was to invest in the community. And if we don't invest in young people, and if we don't create opportunities, then it's not going to change. And we have to care enough, and it's on us. We can't look to the government. It's on us each and every day, and I'm willing to do that work. I feel like I've been called to do that work. This is destiny for me. It's not something that I decided to run for. I tried in my head before to rationalize why I wouldn't run.
Why would you do that?
I'll tell you why. Because
And if anyone has any questions would like to have, go ahead and text those to me so I can pass along to the candidate.
I have a daughter who's 15 months old, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna be able to do this and that." And each time God is just telling me, and people always throw God into it, but I'm serious. I don't play with God. God is my leader. He's my shepherd, and He's just telling me that the time is now, and to take advantage of this opportunity. And you need to give back, and you need to get in there and do the work. And too much is given, and much is required. And I've been required to do this, and I will do a little less business in my law office, but I don't care about that. I want this community to prosper. I love it so much. It's funny. One day I was riding around with a friend of mine who's from Chicago, and I took him on a ride. I rode him through Dixon, and I rode him through Bunton, and I rode him up Pleasant Grove. And he said, "Calvin," he said, "man, the excitement you have when you talk about it he said, it's amazing," because he told me that after I took him for the ride, he said, "Man, you get so happy and excited, and your energy level changes, and your eyes light up." It's because I love that community, and I'm going to take care of it. And the people in that community can trust that they have a good shepherd. I'm not going to create situations where I get in trouble. I'm not going to be bribed. I'm not going to be bought out and those kinds of things. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because it's my destiny to do it, and I'm gonna continue to try to do it until I'm successful at doing it.
Man, you just throwing blows. You say you're not going to be bribed out. You're not going to be bought out.
No.
So you think that there's a morality issue that exists with Dallas City Council?
I think at times there has
people
been.
who have elected the office.
I think there has been, but I think it was set up that way because I know the history of it. I remember when they paid $25 a meeting.
Right.
And I think that discouraged people from becoming a part of it.
Right.
And I think that when you are a council member, if you don't have another burgeoning business that you already participating in, it creates a situation where if you can't make a living for yourself, you're more susceptible to those kinds of things. I have a successful law office. I do criminal defense work, and I do education law. One of the other things that I've done, I want to throw out here, I was the head attorney at the Alliance, the American Federation of Teachers, Alliance AFT. If you don't know what that is the largest teachers organization in the state of Texas.
So you.
I was the general counsel for them.
Then you should get their endorsement then, shouldn't you?
I should get their endorsement. And I'm
Okay.
gonna try to get it.
So how are you doing with organized labor? Since you obviously have that, that's the organized labor type.
Yeah, I'm doing great with them. I love it. I love organized labor. I love the teachers union. I worked for teachers. I fought for teachers. To be honest with you, I fought against Mike Miles when he was here in Dallas.
Why would you do that?
Some of the teachers, they were not being treated properly. I'll give you an example. I thought, based on my work, that they were getting rid of teachers based on age.
Really?
And yeah, I actually thought that. And I actually brought them in one by one, 99 of them. Each one by one, not in some big meeting. And I had them fill out a questionnaire, and I realized that 7 out of 10 of them were 50 years old or older, and they had 15 years worth of experience. And I was able to save a lot of jobs based on that. And I know we need some reform in education, but you got to be careful. I mean, a lot of these teachers know a lot of history of the community and the schools, and they are invested in those communities. And there was a situation where they were bringing Teach for America people in, and those people were only going to serve 2 years and leave. And you got to be careful. You have to have stakeholders in the community that are willing to come to a school, stay, and that know the families and that know the kids and know the siblings. Those things are important, and I needed to make sure that we didn't lose too much of that. So I fought for those teachers.
Now, let me ask you a question. You mentioned stakeholders, and one of the things, one of the committees that I served on outside of, obviously goes for Dallas, the last one I served on was the committee that we interviewed Chief Renee Hall when she got chosen to, I was on the search committee for the new police chief. So this is my question regarding police. Are you in favor of a citizens police review board
I am in favor of review.
with subpoena power? We have one of those already. They
Yes.
don't do anything. We have one, sort of like having an equalizer in your. I'm going back in time. Equalizer in your car while you driving down Dixie Circle.
Man, boy, you really taking me back.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, are you in favor of a citizens police review board?
I am in favor of a Citizens Police Review Board because I think that there has to be trust from the community of the police. But I also want to support those officers in doing their job. They have a very difficult job that they do. I'll give you an example. One of my closest friends is a Dallas police officer. My cousin is a former Dallas police officer. Now he's a DEA agent, but he served the Dallas DPD for 5 years here in Dallas and actually patrolled Dixon Circle for a while. And so I understand on both sides, the community side and the police officer side. What I think that we have to do is we have to build trust, and we have to build the old relationship that we had. If you remember, and if you're being from Dallas, you're going to understand this, and we're going to date ourselves a little bit, Ed. Remember the Dallas Cowboy cards that the officers used to give out? And they used to give them to kids, and kids would walk up to the officers and get the football cards. And people go like, what was the importance of that? The importance of that was this: having a young man approach a police officer and get something positive. See, we got to start thinking like that. And there's a lot of officers who want to do some community work, but they don't want to be, labeled that they're not down with back in the blue. So we get to get those officers. We got to get them in there, get them in the communities, and we got to develop positive relationships with police officers, with the youth. That way, if you encounter a youth later on, it's not a situation where the first time that I have an encounter with a police officer is negative. We got to create a first positive encounter and then try to build on that.
Okay. Speaking on building on that, I would like to go ahead and acknowledge some people out there who are listening in. Mr. Kenny Lee Fields, whose family's been doing a tremendous amount of work previously in Dallas. And also, we got Kevin Crittenden from the Carter High School. And I'm gonna rep my school.
Yeah,
man.
you got to.
I got to do that. And we have Miss Evelyn Lawson is there, and we have some law magnet people that have joined us as well. And if you are elected to office, then it's a couple other law magnet people that got elected to office. Judge Ingrid Warren.
Yes, Judge Warren. I've been knowing her for a long time, and I know her. I know Sharita Blacknall, who's another attorney here in Dallas, and there's just so many people that were law magnet students that we share a bond.
Yeah, Judge Ella Mullen, I believe she's a law
Yes,
magnet.
yes.
She went to school with me as well.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of great people came out of Law Magnet High School. Now, how are you going to be able to work? I know you're running for Dallas City Council, but there's always a synergy between the City Council and the school board. I recall being at Piedmont Global Academy, the former John B. Hood school, and one of the names I saw was Robert Folsom, who used to be mayor. As a matter of fact, he's on this as well. He wasn't mayor then, but he also served on the school board before he got elected to become mayor. How are you able, or how would you be able to work with school board people? Or do you know?
Yes, I used to do hearings in front of the Dallas School Board all the time, and see, that's the thing that is beautiful about electing someone as